Imagine spending 3 months planning the perfect proposal. The rooftop, the candles, the violinist, the ring, only for a complete stranger to bribe her way into your reservation and try to steal the entire setup. That's exactly what happened, and the way karma hit this Karen is something you do not want to miss. Before we get into the wildest proposal disaster you've ever heard, let me paint the picture. A guy, let's call him Mike, had been dating his girlfriend for 5 years. They met in their final year of college in a literature class. He was immediately drawn to her, not just because of her looks, but because of her passion for books and the way she could analyze a story in ways he never considered. Over coffee after class, their conversations would stretch for hours, discussing everything from classical literature to their dreams for the future. After graduation, they moved in together to a small apartment downtown. She started working at a publishing house while he pursued his career in graphic design. Money was tight in the beginning, but they supported each other's ambitions and grew closer through the struggles. She'd always mentioned how she dreamed of a meaningful, intimate proposal. Not some flashy stadium stunt, something real, something under the stars with the city lights below. One evening, while watching a movie together, she mentioned how beautiful it would be to be proposed to under the stars. That comment stuck with Mike. He filed it away in his memory and never forgot it. So when he finally decided to propose, he found this upscale restaurant downtown called Skyline. It had a private rooftop dining area with views of the entire city skyline. At night, string lights hung overhead, mimicking the stars. It was exactly what she had described years ago. This was the spot. This was where he was going to do it. But here's the thing, getting that rooftop table wasn't easy. It was booked 3 months in advance, and Mike had to pull strings through a client who knew the restaurant owner. The private dining experience alone cost nearly a month's rent. On top of that, he worked with the restaurant staff to set up rose petals scattered across the floor, candles surrounding the table, a violinist playing their song, and champagne chilling in an ice bucket. He even coordinated with the chef to create a custom dessert with "Will you marry me?" written in chocolate. The ring? A vintage sapphire surrounded by small diamonds. He spent 6 months saving for it, picking up freelance gigs on weekends just to afford it. Every single dollar went into making this night unforgettable. Now here's where it gets absolutely insane. The night of the proposal, Mike was a bundle of nerves. His girlfriend thought they were just celebrating their 5-year anniversary. He told her to dress up because he was taking her somewhere fancy. She looked stunning in a blue dress, the same color she wore the day they first met. They arrived at the restaurant at exactly 7:30 p.m. The host greeted them with a smile, checked his tablet, and then his face dropped. "I'm sorry, there seems to be some confusion. The rooftop is currently occupied." Mike's stomach sank. He confirmed the reservation just yesterday. Everything was supposed to be perfect. The host called over the manager, a tall man with a concerned expression. And what the manager told Mike next made his blood boil. Wait for it, because this is where the Karen enters the story. One of the newer waiters had accepted a $200 bribe from a woman to let her and her date up to the rooftop before Mike arrived. This waiter didn't understand the table was exclusively reserved. He just pocketed the cash and let a complete stranger walk into a setup that someone else spent months planning and thousands of dollars paying for. Mike and his girlfriend waited in the lobby for about 10 agonizing minutes while the staff tried to sort out the mess. His anxiety was through the roof. His girlfriend, completely unaware of the proposal plan, offered to just sit inside. "It's okay," she said. "The food is supposed to be amazing regardless." But Mike had invested way too much to walk away now. Finally, the manager escorted them to the elevator, but he whispered a warning. "Just so you're prepared, the other couple is still arguing with my staff upstairs. We're removing them, but they're being quite difficult." The elevator doors opened to reveal the beautiful rooftop Mike had designed. String lights twinkling above, city skyline glowing in the background, a table covered with rose petals and surrounded by candles. It was perfect. Except for one glaring problem. A woman in a red dress was standing by the table, screaming at 2 staff members. Her boyfriend sat awkwardly at the table, looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor. And the second she saw Mike and his girlfriend step out of that elevator, she redirected all her rage at them. "Who are these people? I told you this is my special night. I paid good money for this table." The manager calmly stepped in. "Ma'am, as we've explained, this gentleman made this reservation 3 months ago. He arranged all of this, the rose petals, the candles, everything you see." The Karen wasn't having it. "That's absurd. My boyfriend planned this for our anniversary." She turned to her boyfriend. "Tell them, honey." And the boyfriend? He looked like a deer in headlights. I didn't plan any of this. I thought we were just having dinner." Her face turned as red as her dress. "Shut up. You're ruining the surprise." Now, if you think that's the peak of this story, buckle up, because it gets even crazier. Mike had finally had enough. He spoke up. "Excuse me, but this is my reservation. I paid for this setup. I have the receipts, the emails, everything." The Karen turned on him with venom. "You think your little dinner date is more important than my anniversary? Do you know who my father is? He owns restaurants." The manager pulled up the reservation system, the payment records. Everything pointed to Mike's booking. Staff even checked the security footage, which showed the waiter accepting the Karen's $200 bribe right there on camera. And that's when the Karen made a move that shocked everyone in the room. She reached for a glass of wine, not to drink it, but to threaten to pour it all over the rose petals and candles. "If I can't have this table, no one will." But before she could ruin the setup, the restaurant's security team stepped in. 2 guards moved between her and the table. The manager issued a firm ultimatum: leave quietly or the police would be called. And then, the boyfriend dropped the ultimate bombshell. He stood up, looked the Karen dead in the eye, and said, "We're done. I didn't ask for any of this. You lied to me, you bribed someone, and you embarrassed me in front of all these people. I'm leaving." The Karen's jaw hit the floor. She tried to grab his arm, but he pulled away and walked to the elevator without looking back. She chased after him, screaming about how she did this for us. But he was gone. Security escorted her out of the restaurant. No refund, no sympathy. And the bribed waiter? Fired on the spot. Now, here's the beautiful part of the story. With the chaos finally cleared, the manager personally reset the rooftop. Fresh candles were lit, the violinists started playing their song, the champagne was poured, and Mike, heart still pounding from the craziest 30 minutes of his life, walked his girlfriend to the table under the stars. She looked around, eyes wide, taking it all in, the petals, the city lights, the music. And when the custom dessert arrived with, "Will you marry me?" written in chocolate, she started crying before he could even get down on one knee. She said yes. The entire restaurant, guests who had witnessed the Karen meltdown just minutes earlier, erupted in applause. The manager comped their entire dinner, and the chef sent out extra courses as a congratulations. Even strangers at nearby tables sent over champagne and drinks to celebrate the moment. But the story doesn't end there. The Karen tried to save face on social media. She posted her own version of events, claiming the restaurant stole her reservation and ruined her relationship. But other guests who witnessed the whole thing had already posted videos of her meltdown, including the moment her own boyfriend dumped her in front of everyone. The internet did what the internet does best. Her posts got buried under thousands of comments calling her out for exactly what she did. And here's the thing, this kind of entitled behavior at restaurants is way more common than you'd think. Remember that Karen in Malibu who had a full-on screaming meltdown because a waitress accidentally brushed against her arm? She was shrieking, "Why did she touch me?" over and over at the top of her lungs, demanding the restaurant be shut down, threatening to call 911, and screaming for the manager of the restaurant. She pushed a staff member, then accused them of assault when they hadn't done a single thing wrong. The entire restaurant just sat there watching this woman have a nuclear breakdown over absolutely nothing. Or how about that Karen couple who went ballistic on restaurant staff because they didn't like their food? They hurled homophobic slurs at the employees, called other diners savages, and the woman kept calling a grown man baby boy like he was her toddler. The best part? The restaurant comped their entire meal just to get them to leave, and they still took the food home with them. The woman literally said, "My dog will love it," as she walked out the door, clutching the free meal she just spent 10 minutes screaming about. You absolutely cannot make this stuff up. And let's not forget the New Year's Eve Karen from December 31st, 2025. Police were called to a bar and restaurant in Tinley Park because staff were worried a heavily intoxicated woman might try to drive home. When officers arrived and simply asked how she planned on getting home safely, she completely lost it. She screamed about carjackings happening in the city, insisted she was the biggest problem in Tinley Park, demanded that everyone film her, and repeatedly begged the officers to arrest her. When they offered her a free cab ride home, she refused. When they explained the restaurant was closing and she had to leave, she planted herself in her chair and said, "Arrest me, because that's what they wanted." She ended up charged with criminal trespass and obstructing service of process, all because she refused a free ride home on New Year's Eve. Then there was the diner Karen, who threw the most unhinged tantrum ever witnessed in a breakfast restaurant, all because the manager told her she couldn't sit at a certain table. She started screaming so loud that the entire restaurant froze. Other diners were literally eating their eggs and sandwiches, while this woman shrieked like the building was on fire. One guy casually took a bite of his food and said, "My eggs are good." Another diner yelled, "Someone call the mental institution." She screamed, "Don't touch me," repeatedly at people who were standing 10 feet away from her. Nobody was anywhere near this woman. The restaurant had to call the cops, and the meal got comped for every other customer in the building. All of that chaos, over a table. The pattern is always the same. These Karens walk into restaurants believing the entire world revolves around them. They scream at employees who are just trying to get through their shift. They threaten lawsuits, demand managers, and act like they're the main character in everyone else's movie. And every single time, it blows up spectacularly in their face. But the proposal Karen, she absolutely takes the crown. She didn't just make a scene, she tried to steal one of the most important moments of someone's entire life. She bribed a waiter, hijacked a setup that cost someone months of savings, and when she got caught, she doubled down instead of walking away with whatever dignity she had left. And the ultimate kicker? Her own boyfriend dumped her on the spot because even he couldn't handle that level of entitlement. Meanwhile, Mike and his fiancée are planning their wedding, the restaurant went viral for all the right reasons, and karma once again proved beyond any doubt that it is absolutely undefeated. So, here's my question to you. What's the worst Karen encounter you've ever witnessed at a restaurant? Drop your craziest story in the comments because you know you've got one. And if someone has ever tried to ruin one of the biggest moments of your life, I want to hear exactly how you handled it. If this story had you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button right now. Share this video with a friend who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Because trust me, the stories only get wilder from here. Until next time, stay classy, and if a Karen ever tries to steal your proposal, just remember, karma always has the last laugh.